morning. I'm in the office for 5 minutes at the moment, doing some late starts because we've got a 2-month-old. The fertilizer spreader typey spreading is coming out, and we've just got 3 tonne of fertilizer that'll go on our flats. So that'll be at around about 60 kgs per hectare of urea, which will give us around about 30 kgs of nitrogen per hectare. Going to do that now on Hawkeye, print off a bit of a map for him. Lambos are pretty big. Just moving the brake this morning, and this is how we are able to take stock units or have less amount of demand on our hills over the winter. So we grow the feed in the summer and then we feed it out in the winter, and yeah, these boys aren't looking too bad considering this crop wasn't as good as what we were hoping. So they haven't been going forward as fast as what we'd like them to. But in the spring they get compensatory growth, so if they take a little bit of weight off, they can put it on so much quicker. It's kind of like an athlete. Get an athlete that hasn't played tennis for 10 years, but I've been watching the tennis today, this morning. You know, but when they come back to tennis, they're so much better. It's kind of like, or if you're training weights and you stop training weights for 4 or 5 years and you go back to it, you're so much quicker at doing it because you've had that muscle memory, or you've had that weight on before. So these boys should get a bit of compensatory growth, and that's why, like last year I had a video, I think it was called grass-fed growth rates, and it was about the steers, and they were doing 3 kilos a day on grass over a month. So 3 kilos over a month, that's 90 kilos, right? Was it a month? Might have been less, might have been 20 days or something, but I was just checking in on them, making sure that I knew when they could go to the works, because you've got to book space. These boys should have the same effect. Ideally, I'd still keep them growing during the winter. If you can do that, it's more profitable. But this year we didn't quite have the baleage, we didn't quite have the crop. This is a flash new reel we've got. In some ways I like it, some ways I don't. It's got a little handle here. Check that out. So the wire goes in that little gap, and it closes properly on the wire. You'll see the little tab come down there, and then it's got the ability to just pull that lever, and it keeps a little bit of tension on the wire, which is quite cool. So if you go and move the brake, it'll pull the wire out as you're moving it, but keep a bit of tension on it, which is really handy compared to the old reels. But in other ways, it's really hard to wind up. You're supposed to be putting it through that hole to wind it up, and it reels it in, goes side to side, so it winds up nicely. But oh, what a hassle. It's so hard to wind in compared to a normal reel. So this year I brought one more reel, and it's a normal one. So although this has got all the gadgets and gizmos, it's maybe a little bit over engineered. So yeah, going back to the old original. So I'll pull this lever up, see, that just hooks that up, and now I can pull it out, which is quite cool. I've got to go all the way down here, so I'm glad I have that little feature. There you go, fellas. That, I think, is our blind heifer that Annabelle and I raised a couple of years ago. She's a bit mad. So when the feed comes on the hills, when we go from growing 20 odd kilos of dry matter right now to growing 40 to 60, these boys will be going out. Well, I mean, they have to go out early, and that's why we're putting a little bit of nitrogen on today, get those flats humming. And yeah, then these boys some of them will go on the flats, but I don't want to compromise the earlies. Last year it was yeah, it was good money being able to get lambs away at 19.6 kilos in the end of November. The problem with sugar beet farming in general is cash flow. So unlike dairy farmers start getting a paycheck when they start milking. So that's basically end of July, early August maybe, and then they keep milking until around about April, May, right, or June even generally. we sell our lambs within 4 to 5 months, and then you're getting very little income for 6 to 7 months maybe. We have other things, like wool. Wool's really good. What else? So that's sold in the winter. And then we have a few dry ewes and a few other little things. But the majority of our income comes from December, January, February, March, when we sell our lambs. So yeah, and weaners. So weaners are generally sold April, May, June, end of April. Most of them probably are weaned in May, but it depends on where you are in the country and everything else around your farm system. So I was saying in my last video that the response rate from the nitrogen would be around about 7 to 9 kgs of dry matter per unit of nitrogen, or kg of nitrogen, whatever you want to say. But for dairy farmers, when they've got good tucker on their ground, they'll get a much larger response. So you can get up to a response of 20 kgs of dry matter per unit of nitrogen, and that just depends on how much leaf area you have. So it's, like basic plant sizes, you have to have the leaf area to have the amount of cells, or I don't know what you say, but for photosynthesis to occur. So because on the hills we have such short grass, we get a really average response to the nitrogen, and also it's very cold when we put it on. So we put it on in end of July, so the soil temperature would have been subpar, it would have been average, really average, but we do get a response. Whereas now, on these flats, I've got covers of 1300, maybe 1250, 1300, and the soil temperature, I'd say, be interesting to put a probe in, but I'd say it might even be above 10 degrees. We've had 20 degree days, or highs of 20 degrees for a few days now, and bloody thing. Yeah, so I reckon we'll get a much better response from that nitrogen. We'll probably get 12 to 15 kgs of dry matter per unit of nitrogen. So if we're optimistic, which shouldn't be, but if you're a 7B farmer who wants to be optimistic, then you say 15 times by, we're putting on 30 times by 15, 315s is 450, is that right? 450 kgs of dry matter. And yeah, that will make a huge difference over 45 hectares. 45 times by 450, I have no idea, I need a calculator. Well, let's say it's close to 500 times by 45, 5 times 45, well, what's 5 fives? 25. Is that, oh man, okay, I can't do this. I need a calculator. We'll go back to school. A calculator's easier, so you can work it out yourself. I'll get a lot of kgs of dry matter growing, and because it's early, should be able to make the most of it with these steers and lambs. This morning the Inlamb Hoggets are coming in, so there should be 293. Might be a few more dries that shouldn't be in there. We're going to get these in, give them the same as what the Tudu's got, so they get a 5-in-1 and a long acting drench. So yeah, we'll give them those two, and it started raining, but anyway, hopefully they'll be alright. Nice short wool, so the lanolin in the wool is generally the problem, or even just dirt and grit as well can get on the needle, and then when you jab them they get infections, so you don't want that. But so that happens when they're wet, so ideally not, but because they got short wool there'll be less chance of that happening, which is handy. But still, it would be good to have a bit of not terps, what do you call it, the other one, disinfectant basically. So you disinfect the needle after every few, and then that helps too. Let's poo with a view. Oh, it's getting embarrassed, sorry. Gus. Well, I go, pup. Quiet here. Quiet. Come and get up. Have a look, Gus. They should have followed that fence line around, but anyway. You get that. That's it! Yeah. Lay! Lay! A little bit shitty, so I think they'll do well after a long acting. Difference between steers and cows. Steers come to find you and make a mess at every gateway, and cows just spread out. What are you up to, boys? Get them on, pup. How are you? Get them on, don't get them on, pup. Well, look at that. I haven't pushed them and they've walked straight down the lane. I need to pull that last one out at the back there. Come up here, get up here, get up, Gus. Sit down, pup, stay there. Stay there, dog. Sit down, pup. So I'll leave them in here, go around and sort out the truck. Actually, I might be able to make a start, to be honest. I might beat the truck. But yeah, just trying to take them nice and easy, of course. Enoho. Quiet. Enoho. Quiet. For some reason, every time I tell that dog to sit down, he just barks, and then when I tell him off, he just barks more. I don't know how to get that out of a dog. Does somebody know? Like, you tell the dog off and he barks more. So, and I don't know, if you're from the city, you probably think, oh, maybe you can try positive reinforcement instead of negative, but I don't know if that would work. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see somebody with a working dog who can use positive reinforcement, but it just doesn't work. So yeah, enough! That dog, he does not have any ears. They're obviously glued on and stitched, stapled maybe. They look really like he's got something, but they don't work. Get him behind, Duke! So these in general are pretty average. I'm not that happy with them, but I mean, they're not the worst hoggets in the world. Last year they were looking so much better, and I mean, like, look at that one. That one needs pulling out. It's probably not Inlamb. Yeah, they just haven't done, and it's because I haven't had enough feed, in the right feed, last autumn. Basically, I didn't get them up to weight enough, and then I put the ram out a bit light, to them a bit light, thinking that I'd be able to get them up to weight. That didn't happen. So yeah, it is what it is. I guess that's why I got 62% in lamb out of the 470 that I put to the ram. I mean, I've got no excuses. One of the neighbours actually got 87% Inlamb. I mean, he traditionally gets quite high percentages in his ewes and his hoggets. So yeah, he does really well, and he's able to finish a lot of lambs. He's got really good country, but you know, it's not an excuse. We've got really good country too. Steady, wanna go, B? They're just a bit small. I mean, how big is that? And that's going to stunt its growth because I've lambed it at that weight. I'll be lambing it at that weight. It will probably not get much bigger than that. So I'm going to have small ewes for the rest of their lives. So see, she's probably what I'm aiming for. Yeah, small ewes for the rest of their lives. So if they're here on the farm for 4 lambings or 5 lambings, then they're smaller in general. They produce a smaller lamb. I get less production basically. So that's why you want to get your hoggets up to weight. They're really important. But hey, I know that a lot of people will struggle this year. You just got to move forward. Having them in front of you. They're not looking too bad. That one needs to be pulled out. It's a dry hogget. I can tell by the shearing, just a little bit shorter wool. But yeah, I mean she's small enough, but they're okay. I mean, more is quite critical. So yeah, so I'll let these out and pull that one out. So I'm going to let these hoggets out. I'm actually going to go have something to eat. A bit hungry, and they can go up the lane and I'll sort them out after I have a bite to eat and maybe the Fert truck comes. So they'll also have a bite to eat, which is, I didn't realise I had all that shit on my face, which I'm sure that they'll be happy about. Get the number, perfect tally, and then I'll be able to sort out how I'm going to divide it between the 3 paddocks. So I've got 1 flat paddock I was going to use and 2 hill paddocks. So I guess on the flat paddock have a slightly higher stocking rate. I've got cows in 1 of the paddocks and steers in the other 2. Be around about 9 of these hoggets per hectare. 67. Cool, $2.95. Yeah, just 2 off the scanning tally. So, go and get up, Doug! Go and get up! These few I had to draft at the end. I've just drafted, there's a few woolly ones. That's obviously my mistake from either mustering or for them getting through fences. I'll blame the fences, but it might have been a bit average mustering. So that just means that I have to do a little bit more work. There's 4 there that need to be shorn. And then I've got a few there that are just a bit skinny and average that I'll probably just chuck in that kale crop with. I've got a few others around the road, and then that's that job done. You girls don't jump that, thanks. Stay there. Yeah, happy days. Easy job, but yeah, dogs make it easy. Well, the Fert truck is here, so yeah, he's going to be spreading 66 kilos of urea, which should give us a bit over, or around about 30 units of nitrogen per hectare. He's all set up. He's got to do a calibration there to work out the density, I guess, so that he spreads it correctly. So we'll get some music going, and hopefully it's not too boring for you. I've got three paddocks. There's Penalty here, I've got Bullock the next one over, and then number 2 flat. So number 2 flat's really nice flat paddock obviously, and then the other 2 are hillier paddocks, and yeah, so they're probably the best 3 in this back area, and that's why I'm using them. So the other paddocks, I've got another 1, 2, 3 up here that will be used for 400 dry hoggets, as well as steers when I need them. So these girls are getting set stock with steers. So there's is it 4 in this paddock, 6 in the flat paddock, and then actually there's cows in the other paddock, which I'm going to pull a few of those cows out because there's a few too many in that 15 hectare further away paddock. I've worked it out, they're going to be set stocked at 9 per hectare plus the steers. So generally you set stock your hoggets at a higher rate because you don't want them eating too much feed. As deep south sheep and beef has found a few hoggets there, and he's really obviously looking after them quite well. He's not used to lambing them. I've struggled getting good percentages out of hoggets, but you know, it's a work in progress and every year's different, so it's just nice to get a lamb out of these things. So got 77 to come in here. Hopefully Gus and Pip will help me. Get him behind, Gus. Get him behind, Bam. There we go, Pip. Come on, dude. Yeah, Pip. So, yeah, so it's that paddock Bullock, which is 15.69 hectares, and that one, which is 8.59, I think. A while ago, Gus. Hey, Pip, sit down. Right, well that's 141, so just Gus will get these up into here, and then these can come back into there. Well, they're all set stock, so that's basically every lambing sheep on the farm set stock, so that's awesome. So the results out of these, so they I don't think I've mentioned, but so they did 62% in lamb. So we just scan them in lamb or not in lamb. With the ewes, obviously we do dry or not in lamb, and then we do twin or single. So yeah, so it was 62% in lamb, so pretty low. But I did put the ram out to these girls quite light. So most people say the very minimum cutoff is around about 38 kilos. So I actually had some of these in here at 35 kilos when they went to the ram. So it's not the best practice, because if you lamb light hoggets, then you can stunt their growth, and also they're less likely to have a successful good birth. So probably, I don't know, hindsight's a great thing and foresight's a great thing, but I don't know, a lot of people do it, but you shouldn't. So maybe I shouldn't have done that. Anyway, so last year we had 79% in lamb, and the dries we sold, so every hogget on the farm was in lamb, which is awesome, and every ewe on the farm was in lamb, but we were lighter stocked. But this year it's looking to be like we'll have similar amount of lambs because we've got less hoggets in lamb, but we've got more ewes. So yeah, similar amount of lambs, similar amount of cattle actually. So it will be interesting how it goes, because I was trying to up those stocking rates so that we can make the most of the feed and utilise all the feed without it getting too long and going rank. So I was hoping to buy in some store cattle But if you haven't heard, in New Zealand the store market is gone crazy for cattle. The joke was that they're testing the fielding sale yards for cocaine, they're testing the water for cocaine because everyone there is just gone crazy. But yeah, it's just about, you could just about send a cattle beast to the fielding sale and get the same money as what you would get if you sold it fat. The price that the meat companies are paying now goes back, then it'll definitely be a good idea to sell cattle store. But like, the thing is that you've got to weigh that up, because if I sold all my steers, I might get a good price for them, but then I've got nothing to eat all my feed, and then all my feed goes rank, and then I got all this average feed over the summer and autumn, and then I'll be paying the price then, instead of just making the same amount of money out of my steers, farming them through, but I come away with a better looking farm and better feed. So my ewes do better and everything else does better. So you got to weigh up those what you want to do there. So no, I won't speculate as to how much money I'd be making off the steer if I sold it now versus if I sold it later. But I do know that it's extremely good prices at the store market. So so if you go to the fielding sale, or what is it, Temuka, down south, yeah, you are paying big money. So I wanted more cattle to eat our feed in the spring, but it's not going to be viable. I can't spend that money to make it work. So yeah, even if the price comes back, there'll be a lot of people that will be stung paying that kind of money. And I mean, those people who are paying that kind of money have got to make sure that they have either contracts for their beef, or that's basically it really, or it's the meat companies actually paying that extra money for procurement. So they're basically competing against other meat companies to make sure that they meet their obligations for the meat supplied overseas. So if they've got a contract to supply, I don't know, 200 tonne of beef, or even 20 tonne of beef in December to a certain supermarket in the US, then they've got to meet that. Otherwise, you know, they're not going to be coming back to Silver Fern Farms or Ansco or whatever and asking for another deal, are they? Hoggets are done, and thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.